Okay, so this video is all about Hillhead, all the best bits that I've found at Hillhead. But as I'm filming this, I'm not even there yet. I'm 4 miles away, sat in traffic, and I've not moved for a couple of minutes. So I'm not sure what time we're going to get in. I've left a bit later this morning than probably should have done. It's now 9:30, 4 miles away. It's sort of saying that we're going to be 40 minutes till we get in there. So let's catch up when we get there. We have arrived at Hillhead. Brought George with me, sporting the new hats. So finally, we have arrived. It was not, without incidents, the journey in here. I'll explain. So we've been sat in traffic trying to get into Hillhead for a good hour and a half now. We need to get down here a little bit to zigzag through some junctions. We're still 2 or 3 miles away from Hillhead. I think I'm right in saying that goes all the way back. All the way over there. Comes through that little village down there, all the way down here. I mean, that's similar to the road we've been on. And I bet further up there it's just the same as well. So as you can see, parking control here is not the strong point. But never mind, 2.5 hours later, we're here. Now, I don't know what's more ridiculous, the people trying to park us or me sat in traffic for 2.5 hours trying to get in here. We will stop going on about the traffic now. I've had my little rant. So we're here at Hillhead. It's on for 3 days at Buxton in Derbyshire in an old quarry. I'll show you what I mean. Strong smell of Kung Pao chicken from here. Oh, that's the sign gun. Zoomleon diggers. Seem to have a range of stuff here. Telehandlers, interesting. Diggers. So we're just looking around inside, come across this boring bar. Now that is a name I recognise. There are others, but that's the one that I recognise. So with that load and shovel in the yard that we've got at the moment, which you've not seen yet, that's coming out in the next few weeks on the next video, the monthly update. We have a loading shovel in at the minute with a sloppy hole, and these boys will rent this out. Now the way this works is you centre it up on a worn hole. So say this hole here is worn, you would centre this bar up, weld on these bolts here, and you have these bearing carriers each end, and then you slip the bar between, and then this unit turns the bar, and you can see that there.
Precision bearing mounts provide rigid bar support and accurate.
That there is the tool for cutting out the hole. So you would cut it out, and then you put another attachment in, and it welds it back up like a spiral weld, and then you would machine it back out to original. So we have actually got an application where this might be handy, and you can hire these. So food for thought. Big breakers, this company's got you covered. Ooh. Look at the size of that. What does that go on? At least a 50 tonner, maybe even not 80 tonner. Big equipment. Now there's a screen with a lot going on. So hopper, crusher, coming down to overband, coming up the top onto a vibrating deck screen, oversize being sent back all the way through to the top for recycling, and then fines going off that way, crikey, there is a lot going on there. So you will recognize this company, Cobot, the people that supply us with our CNC plasma table. I think you can also see me doing a testimonial on their channel as well. But
because it'll never replace a mount.
We have got
Like say, ultimately.
some new technology to look at here now. So this is is this the Cobot, did you say? So this is what they call the Cobot, which is basically a welding robot that we can use to weld repetitive welds robotically. So we're going to do a little demo on this now and see how it works.
Sorry?
So what we're going to do, we're going to try and do this here, are we? Is that what you're trying to mimic?
Yeah, so I'll just do it on a dry run for now.
So you can do it on a dry run on there. Okay, go for it.
So all I did was give it an outline, which is quite obvious, these big points here.
So what do? Do you bring that to it?
Literally.
You would literally
Press that button,
grab hold of it, move it to it,
stick it.
and you have to tell it what angle you want the torch and everything at.
You can. If you're a welder, you're probably doing it anyway because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not a welder.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm pretending to know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I'd probably put it near enough, and then I can go in here
Okay.
and set the angle to be bob on 90,
Yeah.
and then just a little bit of push.
So you're literally going to put the wire basically on the point, and then you would tell it afterwards to sort it all out.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Here. Press the button on the back.
Yeah.
Here as well, just all the way around, just so it gives a nice perimeter,
Yeah.
and then give it a way to exit. And then these lines is the infill, which it will do manually, so automatically rather. And I can make sure it actually welds the outline, which I do want to do, so I'll tick that.
Yeah.
How many outline welds I want, just one, this would be a bit weird. And then infill, how they like to overlap, if you want it as standard like that, or you want it to be meshed.
Yeah.
And then that mesh offset, best way to think about it is, it'll do this first.
So
and then when it comes over again, just give it a little bit of stick out.
So I'm guessing that this is if you wanted to hard face apart.
Yeah,
That's what. So
it's meant to look a bit like an outside of a bucket.
That is the outside of the bucket. So if you wanted to hard face apart, then you would use this to just crack on and do
better
it.
than bloke doing it.
Okay.
It's not a difficult thing to do, and
No.
it's going to be
No, it's dead simple.
a bit more at right angles.
Yeah.
So if I wanted it to be offset on the mesh, which is like a checkerboard pattern, and then I can see what it looks like in 3D before I do it. And then I can see, so the blue lines is the torch movement, and the red lines is the actual weld.
Okay.
So zoom in again. So yeah, see the torch, you can see the little black balls there.
Yeah. And they're the points that you put on there earlier on.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's literally that easy.
And you set it up like that, and then that just follows itself around there.
And then all I do is make sure it's in sim, press play, move it to its home position, which I've just told it this is somewhere clear and safe.
Yeah.
Press play, and then I've also got a little box here, just with another e-stop on it, and an arc switch. But press start.
So what
Oh, no,
happened?
yeah, it's just
That was going to be one of my questions.
yeah, so if you wanted it to arc or not.
And then you can
Got a
just
little
change the
button there to
travel.
sim.
You can change the travel speed.
Yep. At the moment, just 'cause it's on demo, I think it's set to about 700. But if you were welding it normally, 500, 600, something like that.
Okay. And you can teach it to weld. So could you do a central point on something and say weld around that, like a boss?
Yeah,
if you put a boss in there, for instance.
Yeah, so for the bosses, very similar, but instead of it being touch points,
Yeah.
let's just hide that for now. Pipe, if it's a proper pipe weld.
Oh, I see.
Come on, there we go. And it'll give me some instructions, so it'll give me tell me to give it an approach, just get it into position.
Yeah.
Again, it's not an infinite joint, so it will, and that might get in the way as well. So if you're like this and you're trying to weld around a boss, if I spin that all the way around, eventually
You're going to end up with the torch causing problems.
It's gone past its limit.
So you end up with an error report come up on it.
Yeah, and then you go, oh okay, get me out of that. And offset it really.
So do you do different size ones that have got more reach, or are they all this size?
This is like the mid-range one. The biggest one that we would sell is 1.8 meters reach.
Right.
8 kilo capacity.
Okay.
as well, which is more than enough for a welding torch and
Yeah.
a fume gun on the end. And albeit it's only another 500 mil, it makes that look really small.
And
when you see it.
has that got to be a permanent fixture? Like, for instance, you couldn't have that on like a trolley and bring it over
Could
to
have
a
it on trolley.
bench.
Could have it on a trolley.
As long as it was stable enough, you could actually have it.
If you've got it on a trolley and you say you wheel it up and you've got say you've got a welding torch on it, but
Yeah.
you can swap out the welding torch and put on like 4 splitters
Yeah,
instead. You could wheel it up, change the tool at the end.
yeah,
You're going to need a locking pin or
Yeah.
something to make sure it's actually in position and stable, like you say. But yeah, you can wheel it around and do whatever you want with it. It doesn't have to be in one station.
Okay.
Typically they are.
So I was thinking, like, if you were hard facing on a bucket and you got it in the workshop on a bench or trestles or whatever,
Yeah.
you could bring it over on wheels, make sure it's secure, do your points, and then just leave it to it, and it would sort itself out.
Magnetic bases are quite common for that.
And you just run. That's obviously a machine torch on there. The actual clamp on the end is that's obviously a component that you supply, is it?
As in this little section here.
Is in that piece there, yeah.
Yeah, but that is, there's no difference between this and a manual MIG gun, other than there's no trigger.
Yeah.
There's nothing special about it.
And then that just comes all the way back to the welder.
Yeah.
Job done. So,
Nice little tool balancer just to keep it out of your way.
okay, how much?
Not going to get much change at 70 grand.
70 grand. Is it really?
All in.
And that's just for the robotic arm, the controllers.
Robot, the controller, software license for the
Yeah.
welding, a welder, probably a bench as well.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, you get a bench. Well, that
Yeah.
doesn't sound quite so bad now.
and Lee and myself for 2 days as well.
And the welder.
And the welder, yeah.
Oh yeah. So everything you see here,
About 70.
about 70. But if it's doing that, you could have that doing the work of 2 or 3 men. So I could sort of see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. AI and robots are here. Now I understand, if rumour has it right, that Dave from D&J Projects has bought one of these. He saw Foil and Marine Dredging buy one, and he thought, that is a bit of me, that is. So if you watch D&J on YouTube, apparently, rumour has it that Dave's bought one of them. I'm not sure what he's going to do with it. I think he's going to do some really big drives with it. But yeah, it's a bit of a beast, isn't it? So this is a little bit different. Apparently some guys were taking a Defender up to Scotland, decided that it ought to be electric, was going to convert their Defender and thought, you know what, forget that, we will start from scratch. So they've built this company called Munro. Didn't expect to see this at a plant show. Basically you've got a battery underneath, drive an electric motor through a gearbox, transfer box, axles, all the usual stuff. Pretty basic inside, but it's got everything you need. Feels chunky as well. It's like proper solid. So a little bit of nostalgia. One of my very first jobs on site, fixing things, was working on a machine very similar to this, soil stabilisation planer, but basically it's a massive rotavator in there. And my very first job was at Rockingham Speedway track when that was being built, and that is currently being dismantled at Corby. So one of my very first jobs was changing the transmission pump on one of them, and we had to do it through the floor in the cab. I was working with another guy. He was thinner than I was, surprise, surprise. So he went underneath to lift the pump up. I was above with a strap, and we lifted it up into position, and I'm still not 100% certain how we managed to do it, because the machine was stuck in the subway track, in the speedway track, purely because We couldn't move because of the transmission pump. So yeah, that must have been late 90s, early 2000s. That's probably best about 30 years ago I did that. But that was one of the very first jobs that I did out on site, sort of on my own, that was. Now we are currently looking for a big gearbox for an in-feed hopper. I may have found what we need. Now that is a big old gearbox. But there's another one just there. I wonder what sort of size that is. Let's have a look. Gear units. So that is it for Hillhead. It's George's first Hillhead. What do you reckon, George, to Hillhead?
Warm. Very warm.
Very warm today in that hole. We got back, it's 33 degrees now. It's 7 o'clock at night. We've just stopped for something to eat on the way back. We were leaving at 6 because we didn't get in till sort of just gone midday and that. We had a quick whiz round in there. Probably not a huge amount of content in this video because of that, because I got sidetracked talking to different customers and suppliers and all sorts of different things going on, which is always handy because they've always got a drink, which in this weather is exactly what you need. Bumped into a couple of other people from the social media world. Ginger Genius, I know you're a follower and a watcher on the channel. Nice to see you. Bumped into Jack Spanners as well, who's a local content creator to us. Said hello to him. Some of the other YouTubers that would have been there today were not there today, but you know, it was a good day. They missed out. It was a really good day. So that's it for this episode. Next episode coming out, which is going to be fairly soon, is our end of month roundup, and we've got some interesting footage in that about some serious loading shovel repairs we've got going on in the workshop this week. So stay tuned and we'll see you in the next video.